My dear friends from all over the world, welcome to the World Today YouTube channel. Friends, yesterday we had mentioned to you that every day there will be a post which will be unique in nature. At the same time, we also told you that besides discussing on a particular topic today, we shall also be mentioning to each one of you the topic to be covered in coming 1 month. So friends, for today's topic, we are going to discuss the COVID-19, that is coronavirus effects, plus and minus points, but we'll go mainly on the positive side, what will be the changes and what will be the lifestyle after this pandemic effects are over. The next topic to be discussed tomorrow will be whether politicians should become also social workers, activists and philanthropists, and vice versa. All politicians must become activists. The route is to become a social worker and then migrate to becoming a politician. So that will be the main discussion. The other day we will have a new topic: how can we modify the present educational system which was designed several hundred years ago, and what are the changes required in the system, either in the area of skilling or introducing value education, stressing the need for morality, etc. The other topic to be discussed is the waste recycling. How can we solve the problem of garbage and its management? Friends, we are also aware that in every country of the world, we are paying at our nose so far taxes are concerned. And after this pandemic, because there has been a big economic loss, it is going to increase. I am saying that it must decrease. But after decreasing the tax, how shall we have more persons to pay? How shall more vocations will yield more taxes? By reducing the tax rate will be the discussion that day. Next day we'll have a discussion on neology and neocracy. What is neology and what is neocracy? I'll give you the hint. Neology is the art and science of evolving a new doctrine. So we need a neological approach to solving different issues of the world, including this pandemic. Friends, we will also have a discussion on the other day on employment generation. How can we generate more employment? Because, several hundred millions and thousands of millions jobs have been lost during this period. So how shall we have alternate employment? How shall we have employment generation policy and research by different countries of the world will be the discussion. The other day, we'll have a discussion on skilling. The skilling the youth. Youth of not only my country but of all the countries are the main source of inspiration, and they have to be skilled in the right manner. That will be the discussion. Then we have to also discuss on the other day the strategy to have more number of vocations, more number of occupations. Because if we want everybody to be employed, if we want our world to be richer, in that case, unless the number of vocations are increased, if it is now 1,000 vocations, there should be 5,000 vocations, 5,000 occupations. Only then we will be having a new approach to really solving different problems, especially the problem of unemployment. Then we have to also, on some other day, discuss about the renewable energy, because the conventional energy is going to cost a lot. It's going to cost us. So far environment is concerned, the pollution will be increased day by day. So we have to use green energy, renewable energy. How can we strengthen the cause of renewable energy movement? How can we produce more renewable energy will be the discussion. Friends, we all are aware that sustainability is the main thing in future. We cannot have any development policy unless we discuss about sustainable development. A policy for having new cities, bigger cities, better villages. Only then we have a policy which will be sustained by the mother earth of the planet and also by the people who are staying in the cities or towns. Friends, accordingly, we are also going to have new ideas like introduction of new subjects, which are there of course, but it's not compulsory. We must ensure that these subjects are to be made compulsory. First in that series will be a discussion on environmental education. How shall environmental education, right from the class 0 level to the doctorate level, will ensure that all those who come out as successful graduates or postgraduates will ensure that they have acquired a fairly good knowledge of environmental protection movement. Only then the Mother Earth can be happy and happier. Then we have to also discuss some other day regarding disaster education. There is a word known as disaster and the other word is education. So disaster education. The other term is disastrous education. We have a strong feeling that unless we introduce disaster education, I would also call it a disastrous education if we don't introduce disaster education. Because the knowledge of disaster preparedness is a must. This pandemic is also a disaster. We cannot say whether it is man-made or natural, but we have to have a solution. So we will be having the disaster education discussion. How can we increase the number of hours to be devoted to disaster education? We have to also discuss about value education, morality education. That will also be discussed on some other day. Again, one post will be devoted to human rights and duties education. We will have to educate each and everybody living on this Mother Earth that unless they understand their duties, there is no role of human rights education. Everybody is talking about human rights, but one must perform their own duties in order to expect that human rights will be protected. So, friends, accordingly we have to go to the new topic. The other topic to be discussed one day will be depolluting our cities. Most of our cities have been polluted. So how can we depollute our cities will be the main suggestion and discussion. Accordingly, we have to also one day discuss about entrepreneurship development in the light of the fact that many factories are getting closed, many businesses have been failing, not only because of this pandemic, the COVID-19, but for the last 10 years, there has been an economic recession all over the world. In that case, we have to really think about entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship development. How can we have a competent cadre of young professionals who would throw themselves into a new environment to become entrepreneurs, to become job givers rather than job seekers. Accordingly, friends, one day we'll have a special discussion on geriatric care for the elderly, because the development in the medical science has led the older people to live longer and longer. It's a very good sign. But in that case, we have to know their rights and duties, geriatric care, the geriatric psychology, geriatric sociology, or for that geriatric housing, geriatric entertainment, geriatric worship, geriatric rights, and geriatric counseling. So we'll discuss all those things. One day, we'll have a very, very lively discussion and presentation on religious intolerance. Whatever are the problems all over the world, if we have to find one reason, it is only religious intolerance. So, how can we reduce the disastrous effects of religious intolerance will be the discussion that day and point at issue. In the meantime, we have to also add, while we talk about religious intolerance, the scope for introducing interfaith education so that one person knows about the other faiths also, so that there is no infighting. Friends, one day we'll also discuss about drugless therapies. We are talking of drug-full therapies. Drugs are becoming costly. If we have to optimize the health budgets of the federal governments, the state governments and the provincial governments, the answer lies in finding a solution for drugless therapies. And we, with our research, have located 525 therapies which are drugless. So we will discuss on that, because drugless therapy is a therapy where there are no side effects and there can be a zero budget on health if we discuss about drugless therapies. Some other day, we'll have discussion on green education and green employment. How shall we create green jobs and clean jobs? That will be the discussion, which is very much possible, and we'll discuss that. There will be a time coming within 1 month when we shall have a discussion on cleanliness, hygiene and sanitation education, which is a must. And I'm sure after this pandemic has come to a stay, we will learn again about the fact that we should be cleaner and we should bother about hygiene and we should bother about sanitation. So that will be a matter which I will discuss in detail. Another topic to be discussed some other day is the role of television anchors. Role of television anchors in bringing peace on earth, on this Mother Earth, and how shall peace, mercy and tolerance can become the buzzword for the entire world. Friends, accordingly, we'll have a discussion on other topics also, like peacelessness versus unemployment. Whether peacelessness is also a cause, rather whether peacelessness comes because of unemployment, that unemployment is the root cause for peacelessness, will be the discussion, and we'll have a good discussion on that. Especially in the neighboring countries of India, or for that matter anywhere in the world, we find that the unemployed youth are being bought and then they are misused. So that is a very bad sign. Friends, we have to also have an important topic to be discussed, where we'll have discussion on green buildings. Now the buildings which are there, they are not green buildings because there are norms to be adhered to, whether there is sufficient lighting and that we don't depend on artificial lighting and that there is a ventilation. So standards are made in different countries for green jobs, and that will be discussed. Accordingly, friends, on some occasion we'll talk about ecological feminism, ecofeminism, the role of women in environmental protection. That will be the discussion. We'll also have discussion on ecological tourism. How can persons from all over the world can go to places which are of ecological importance and environmental importance, and how shall they ensure that wherever they go, they don't keep dirt there and don't leave any garbage there. So that will be the education. We have to also have some other topics like sustainable agriculture, because agriculture is the backbone of different countries of the world, and unless we have an agricultural policy which will be sustained by the farmers, it is very unlikely that agriculture is going to sustain the families who are dependent on agriculture. So friends, there are many more topics, but for coming 30 days, I have covered 29 topics, and the 30th topic is going to be institution building. What is institution building? Why institutions are created? Why institutions dies? Why institutions get stagnated? Sometimes institutions get murdered also. So the role of institution building, and what is the role of an institution builder? All those things will be discussed. So friends, now coming back to the main pandemic, that is coronavirus and COVID-19 and its after effects. So I'm going to concentrate my talk on what are the positive sides of this pandemic and how shall we recover and how shall we see a new world. Before I discuss that, let us first know about another virus which was pandemic about say 102 years back. In the year 1918, there was a Spanish flu which killed so many persons. You won't believe that about 300 million people died all over the world. 300 million. In South Asia, they called, say, 30 crore. Now 30 crore people or 300 people died. You can't imagine. But why did it start? It started because of the First World War, and the soldiers who were coming back to their countries, they had this disease, and somehow it spread all over the world. It went to America, North America, it went to South America. This disease reached entire Europe. This disease also reached Africa, Asia, as well as the Pacific. So that was the main issue. In India, you won't believe that the father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi, was badly infected with that Spanish flu. 2 members in his family expired also. Many poets and writers, including Surjkant Bhatt Nirala and Premchand, also were affected, and their family members also expired. But we have to know why it is known as Spanish flu. It's not that it was started in Spain, no. Spain was a neutral country. While other countries were fighting during the World War, Spain was neutral. And there was no censorship on the newspapers of Spain. Whereas other countries were hiding the fact because they were knowing that if this pandemic disease regarding information is spread through the newspapers, the soldiers will be disheartened. So Spain was first country because the disease reached from France to Spain. Spain could locate this disease and they spread the news that this is a pandemic. That is why it is known as Spanish flu. Now friends, in India also, about 20 million people expired. In US, that time, the population of United States of America was 100 million only. Out of that, about 700,000 expired. 1/3 of the population of Europe expired. So that way, it was a big pandemic. Now this pandemic has just begun. We cannot say with confidence how soon it will be vanished, but maybe it will take another, say, 6 to 7 months. So we have to be careful about this. And what are the positive sides? One side is that everybody will be aware. There will be an attitudinal and behavioral change. People will be more God-fearing. At the same time, new policies will be designed. Economic policies will be designed. Now, in most of the countries you find, especially in European countries, millions of people who are homeless, who were sleeping on the streets, are kept in hospitals and hotels. There are thousands of hotels where these persons are staying with the permission from the government. So after this pandemic is over, we'll have to have a new approach to everything, to having new business, work from home, new type of business, new type of enterprises will be coming. So it is very important that we understand about what is known as attitudinal change, what is known as behavioral change, and that everybody will have to be re-educated in a particular direction so that they can earn their livelihood in a different manner. The industries will have to make policies for working in a new direction with full of zeal and enthusiasm so that their productivity increases. In the meantime, we have to have also the educational system has to be understood, examined, and redefined. The schools, colleges, universities and other institutions will have to design new curriculum, and will also have to understand the need for teaching in a new manner. The newspapers will have a different style. The print media will have less value, as during the pandemic the newspapers are not being circulated, so everybody is depending on the e-newspaper. So naturally, more and more content have to be put in the e-newspapers. That is how the newspapers have to be managed. The role of electronic media will also be very important. So it has to be seen whether the broadcast journalism has to be locating a critical path to optimize the benefits going to the audience, which is very important. And naturally, the anchors and the broadcast media companies will have to see that they are not biased for a particular political party or for a particular country, for a particular religion. They have to also ensure that there is no such issue, and that somehow the benefits must reach the grassroots level. Those who are poor and having problems should also be understood, and all the issues must be tackled, be it for a rich person or a poor person, small country or a bigger country. So friends, with these words, I thank you for your patient hearing, and I'm sure tomorrow we will come with some other topic. You are knowing the serial, so you can rewind and understand what will be the topic tomorrow. Thank you very much. May peace prevail on this Mother Earth.